Hello, my courageous Cancer, and welcome to your weekly energy reading. This is just a general reading, so please do take what resonates and toss the rest. Also, please do check out your monthly reading if you haven't yet, and your moon reading. Otherwise, if you enjoy this, please do like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, all that other great stuff. I would greatly appreciate it, and it does help me get to the other Cancer on my channel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. We don't do reversals during the weekly energy reading, just the larger readings, but didn't have any anyway, so I guess it didn't matter. But let's get started here. All right, so we have the High Priestess here, and that lets me know that you guys are coming into a place where I feel like you are feeling more spiritually sound, okay? So a little bit more like you feel like you're fulfilled, okay? So maybe you've had a lot of problems lately, issues lately, questions lately, concerns. Maybe you felt a little bit out of balance, things like that going on. But now you finally kind of come to a place where maybe you feel like you're a little bit better balanced, better informed, better like directionally driven. Maybe you know where you're going or where you want to go at least. And things are kind of starting to click. So you're feeling a little bit more spiritually fulfilled, a little bit more like, hey, I have the answers now a little bit more. I know what I want. I know what to do. So a little bit better, okay, than maybe you've been for some time now. I do see the Nine of Pentacles coming in. So I feel like with you putting out this higher vibe, this kind of knowledgeable, spiritually fulfilled, higher plane wave, higher vibration feeling, stronger, better emotional state, perhaps for some of you. Of course, you're going to be opening yourself up, obviously, to a better quality of opportunities coming in, people coming in, that kind of stuff. And I do feel like this is potentially a better opportunity coming in for you. Could be if you've been looking for a job, if you've been looking for a promotion, a raise, those kinds of things. This could be information about that. It could be that maybe you applied for a job quite a while ago and you haven't really heard anything, but all of a sudden, you know, now you've kind of gotten this almost enlightenment type of feeling, and you know, that's when you kind of get the news. So I do feel like something is coming in for you for sure. You know, the Nine of Pentacles isn't the fastest moving knight though, okay? So again, this may be something that you kind of aren't expecting. It may be something you've been kind of like almost written off, because again, I do feel like with this High Priestess energy, for some of you, I feel like this is kind of a newfound thing, okay? So this may have been something where you kind of have given up on it. Maybe you applied for a job months ago, you know, and you're like, I never heard back. I gave up on it. Or, you know, I wanted that raise and I applied for that, you know, position move at work or whatever months ago, but never heard anything on it. And I really just figured it was probably a, you know, dead in the water kind of situation. But now all of a sudden it kind of pops up and you're like, wow, that's great. You know, or an opportunity that you were like toying with maybe, you know, and you were kind of like, hey, you know, I'm going to throw out an idea of possibly maybe starting my own business with a friend or a family member or a partner or something, like maybe even a side hustle. It doesn't have to be like a main business, but maybe like something like that, you know, your own little shop, your own little business, your own little side gig, something like that that you enjoy, that kind of brings you some happiness and spiritual well-being, those kinds of things. But you kind of had it on hold, something that you kind of maybe kind of wrote off because you were like, they're not really into it, or I don't have the money to start up, or I'm just not really feeling like it's going to work. And then in comes this opportunity somehow to do that, a cash injection. They mention it again. Hey, I've got some tax return money. I want to invest in it. Let's go ahead and do it. Something like that pops up. And I feel like this opportunity presenting itself is going to kind of be like out of nowhere for you. Because down here we have the Seven of Swords. And I feel like this is where you kind of make that shift, where you're kind of like, wow, I kind of didn't expect it. I'd kind of written it off. I had kind of, you know, basically given up on the idea. You know, it was kind of like, it was a flash in the pan and now I've moved on, you know, wrote it off. But now that it's back and it's an option, I love it. You know, I've been looking for something to change, something for a shift. And now that I'm feeling more, you know, strength, I feel like I've got more wisdom, more enlightenment, more power, more strength, more all of these priestess type energies. You know, now I'm ready to make that shift. And especially, you know, if you have the opportunity presenting itself in some form or fashion, like the cash injection to make it happen, the partnership to make it happen, the opportunity presented itself to you to take this job, whatever. So you're ready to kind of make that shift, that change. So I do think that this is something that you are going to be kind of excited about doing. But maybe, maybe a little apprehensive too. So if this is kind of something where you're still weighing this out, maybe you're here somewhere in the process and you're kind of weighing this out. I do think that it's something that you'll enjoy. I do think it's a shift that you have wanted. But I think maybe just with having the time to kind of write it off and forget about it, you've kind of, it's kind of one of those things that now it's not so fresh and so exciting. So you're not jumping at it as much as you probably should, but I do feel like you are ready to make the change. I think you'll embrace that. So I do think it's a good idea. Let's see here what we've got in the challenge cards. So of course we always have a challenge, right? Let's see what our challenge is with this. But I do feel like this is something that maybe you kind of had really thought about before, and it just kind of went by the wayside a little bit, and it just pops up here. So all right, the Six of Wands is your challenge. And I think we just kind of said that's kind of your challenge, is kind of getting moving. Because I do think the thing is that, when you first think about something, it's really exciting. It's really gung-ho. Yes, I want that job. Yes, I want to start this new business. Yes, yes, yes. But the longer something kind of sits out there, or you kind of let it go, or it's not really fresh and exciting and new, you're more like, it's okay, well, I like the idea, but, it's not really as, thrilling to jump at, because now you've had time to kind of think of some of the drawbacks, or, some of the excitement's worn off, those kinds of things. So getting you actually moving forward towards those ambitions, those goals, those things, is a little bit more difficult than maybe if it had come in, right as you were trying to get it to come in. Because again, I feel like this is something that's happened a bit, or you've started the thought process on, or the application process on, or considering a while ago and kind of forgot about, and now it's popped back up. So again, I think this is you here. You're your own kind of challenge here, is just to get yourself moving, to convince yourself, yes, this is the change I need. Yes, this is the shift I want to make. Yes, I do want to move forward with this. And one thing you might want to do is kind of, if it's something you can do as a side thing first and try it out. If this is something you're hoping to parlay into a full-time, try it as a side thing first if possible, and maybe see if that works before you fully commit. That's always a possibility. But again, I do feel like that's kind of your challenge there, is helping yourself get moving on it. So this is the psychic deck. So let's go ahead and get a card on the High Priestess, mental conflict. Okay. And I do feel like that's part of it, is that you've probably had some mental conflict with different things, different issues. Maybe you haven't been your best self. You haven't been as clear on things, or felt like you've seen things as clear until now. I feel like this is kind of a clearing of this mental conflict with the High Priestess energy. So I feel like you're now at a point where things are kind of better. And I ultimately think that may be one of the reasons that this is more difficult for you to get moving, because it's kind of like a catch-22. Now you have more opportunities. Now you are putting out that higher vibration. Now things are clearer and easier for you to, accept opportunities and get things moving. But at the same time, now you're kind of finally in a place where you feel comfortable, happier, less stress, less mental conflict. So now you're kind of hesitant to leave that, because you're like, well, everything's kind of doing okay now. Do I really want to mess with it? Don't fix what's not broke, right? So you're kind of like, that's again kind of here where you are. You're kind of like, well, back then when everything kind of really was awful and kind of not great, and I hated this, I hated that, I couldn't really see any clear direction for myself, everything was kind of conflicted in here. I just wanted out, so I was applying for everything. I was coming up with crazy ideas. They seemed plausible at the time because they were better than what I had in my head. But now, do I really want to take the chance to make that shift, because everything seems okay now? So I think that's kind of part of your challenge there. But let's see what we've got here. This is your Moon card, and that is on your Six of Wands and your Knight of Pentacles. And I think it's patience. Okay. So again, I do think that one thing here is that you know, the universe, spirit, what have you, is telling you to be patient with this idea, because again, I do think that this is still an idea that you came up with for a reason, okay? And it's an idea that's come back to you in time through patience, okay? And everything is in its time, and everything comes for a reason at certain times, right? So I think it's coming through at a time when you are better able to accept it for a reason, okay? But, you know, the patience that it took to get to you was probably also for a reason, okay? Again, so now you can move forward with this Six of Wands energy. But again, if you don't feel comfortable jumping fully into something, also stay patient, okay? Try it out. Try to, you know, kind of partially, you know, pull it into your already current lifestyle if you can, if it's something you were trying to do, if it's a job opportunity that maybe you can do as a side gig or something like that, or maybe you can take a leave of absence from your current job and try something else out. You know, there's certain things, depending on what the situation is, you might be able to try to kind of patiently see if it's for you, if it's something that would be good for you in the long run, or if it wouldn't be. But again, I do feel like there is a reason that this came in at the time it did and not right away. Maybe you weren't, you know, you weren't in a good mental space for it when you first applied. Now you're in a better mental space. Does that make it scarier though? It does, because, you know, now if you're thinking clearly, now you're thinking of all the things that could go wrong. So, you know, it does, you know, kind of convolute the whole situation a little bit. But I do think by having the patience that you've had, and now the opportunity coming through, I do think you can turn this into a positive instead of a challenge by embracing it and just doing as much as you can to move it forward patiently in a slow and very methodical way, if you can do it without, you know, having to risk everything on the line as well, if that's a possibility at all. Give that a try. So let's see what this Seven of Wands here, we'll get a last advice card here on the Seven of Wands and see what we can find out about that for you. Alrighty, and we'll close you out. But I do feel like there is a reason that things happen in their time, and all things have a specific time frame that they come in. And I think it's because, you know, we know when you would be able to, you know, and I say we, meaning like the world, the universe knows at space and time or whatever, knows when you'd be willing to accept it or able to handle it the most. Okay, so this one says, your purpose is personal expansion. How can you be more intentional with your choices and live with more purpose? Again, so I do feel like this is telling you, you know, that you need to think about it. You've been patient, okay? You've had this idea at one point, okay? It's come back around for a reason, okay? Why? Probably because it's something that you really, you know, you really need to think about. And it may be something that you want to take your time and think about, and that's fine. But again, if it's something you're still considering at all, you know, there's probably a reason. And you want to expand. You have personal expansion here. You want to shift gears in some way. You're obviously not thrilled about where you are. You may be in a much better place. And so you're kind of like, this is good. I don't want to, you know, upset the cart when I finally got to a place that's okay. You know, back then when I was doing that, I was just trying to escape a really bad situation. Now I'm in a better place, you know, mentally, emotionally, whatever. But, you know, that's not really expanding you. That's not growing, okay? That's just stagnating you in okay. You could be great, right? You could expand into something that's wonderful, okay? Again, you had this idea, you had this opportunity come into you for a reason, okay? So think about that, and then, you know, kind of put into practice that you, you know, you have this personal purpose of expansion. And how can you be more intentional with your choices to make this happen? And by making the choice to shift directions from where you are now and take advantage of this and turn this moving forward from a fear, a challenge, to an opportunity, you could really actually grow and do much better than you already are. So I do think this is an opportunity you should definitely take into consideration. I do think something's going to come in for you that you may not be expecting, but that you had possibly come up with or thought about quite a while ago, and it's going to kind of blindside you. But I think you're at a much better place to accept it now, and there's a reason for that. So please do keep that in mind. So if you do enjoy this, or this did resonate with you, please do like, subscribe, share, all that other great stuff. Otherwise, I hope to see you back later. Bye.